And now for the final session of the day. It's going to be live from Brazil, no less, from the beaches of Rio de Janeiro. Well, before all of y'all start painting some other picture, let me quickly tell you that our next session is going to be Padma Shri Gloria Arieira ji, and she is going to be talking to us about yoga and Vedanta. Padma Shri Gloria Arieira ji came to India in 1974 and studied under Swami Chinmayananda and Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji. She has been teaching Vedanta and Sanskrit in Brazil since 1979 and in Portugal since 2009. She has founded the Vidya Mandir Study Center in Rio de Janeiro, through which many books on Vedanta have been published in the Portuguese language. Gloria Arieira ji has been awarded one of India's highest civilian awards, the Padma Shri Award, on Republic Day in 2020 for her pioneering work in Sanskrit and Vedanta literature in Brazil. Now, this is as impressive as it gets. We are having a Padma Shri talking to us, who's steeped in the knowledge and who's helped spread this knowledge to South America. Now, South America is pretty far away. It's even a 40-hour, even today, it's a 40-hour journey from here to Rio de Janeiro, if you've made the journey by hopping flights. But let me paint a picture for you. The year was 1974, and there was a lady in Brazil who heard Swami Chinmayananda speaking in one of the talks. She was so impressed. She went up to him, and Swami Chinmayananda said, "No problem. Come to my ashram in India." So determined this lady was in 1974 that along with her husband, she got onto a cargo ship. You heard me right. She got onto a cargo ship, and from Brazil, she took the ship to Singapore. From Singapore, she took a train to Thailand. From Thailand, she took a flight to Kolkata. From Kolkata, she took a train to Bombay. It took her 45 days to make that journey in 1974. And when she came, she found Swami Chinmayananda not there. So then she again traveled to Bangalore, where she finally found him. He was so happy to see her. He took her in as his student. And since then, there's been no looking back for Padma Shri Gloria Arieira ji. She's a shining example of determination and single-mindedness. She knew she wanted this knowledge. She went after it. She got it. And not only that, she helped spread it, not in our country, but in Brazil. And you can imagine when she went back to set up a system, the books that she published there and the Vidya Mandir that she set up there, it must have been so difficult without infrastructure there. Thank you, Padma Shri Gloria Arieira ji, for spreading our culture, our knowledge, and our wisdom in a country like Brazil. Welcome, Padma Shri Gloria Arieira ji. Yoga for Vedanta. The floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Suresh. Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation also, Swamiji and Swaminiji. I'm very happy to be here today on this festival, Vedic Wisdom Festival. I would like to begin with a prayer. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. I like very much this name, Vedic Wisdom, and a festival also is something very special and nice to be part of. And I was very glad for the invitation. I think there is nothing like Vaidika Dharma, and I think that Vedic wisdom is a very good translation for Vaidika Dharma. This tradition of knowledge is something so peculiar, so special, that every place that you go, any language that you speak about it, people get really impressed. I have seen here in teaching in Portuguese language. Brazil speak Portuguese and Portugal also. And when you speak, when you talk about it, when you explain what is Vedanta, everybody gets very much impressed and happy to find out that something like that exists. We are used to hear about people trying to convince others of ideas, to change the style of life, because this style of life that I'm saying is better. And to change the way you live, to change the way you think. And I have found in the Vedic Dharma, in the Vedas, in this Vedic wisdom, that the main point is really Viveka and Vairagya. We have to understand things. So it's a tradition of understanding. The main point is to understand, to know, to come to know and to understand. And that focus is given in all the ways of life. That is very interesting because studying Vedanta, we have this sadhya, this main point, this purushartha, moksha purushartha in view, is to understand what is paramarthika satta, what is the absolute reality. And that is the main point. And so we say that this bondage is because we don't understand really what we are, and we need knowledge. So freedom comes from knowledge. That is in itself is something really special. It is really something astonishing also, because you don't have to change. You don't have to go somewhere. You don't depend upon anyone. It's just you have to understand something. And really, there's nothing like knowledge, like understanding in every level. If you understand something, then that changes completely your way of looking into it. So this understanding what is the I, what am I, in the very basic level, is something very special. But the point is that what we focus on is understanding. So when you study Vedanta, as we did as teachers, and like our students do, this understanding, this analysis, even more, the way Puja Swami used to teach, like Sri Shankara, that you go on delving into understanding of words, of ideas, of what is I. That understanding gives immediately one vairagya. Like we are prepared naturally to open our hands and just let go. Just let go. What is not true, what is not real, what has no value, like we thought before it had. So this combination is something very special. The emphasis on understanding and the emphasis that on renunciation, vairagya, is natural. You don't have to give up. When you understand, naturally you will give up. So this combination of viveka, vairagya is something really, it's a blessing. Because all we know, all we see all over is that people saying that you have to do this, you have to do that, that will be good for you. So it's like some kind of conversion into a different way of thinking. And this Vedic wisdom is telling us, when you understand, you will change. You will see what is reality. You will naturally change. So this is something very special. But that it's even more, because through the way that we study, living in the ashram, in the Gurukulam, even if you don't live in ashram with Gurukulam, you go regularly to the classes, you understand the importance of knowledge and understanding, of analysis and understanding. And you take that to your own life. So we develop this way of dealing with things, with ourselves and others, understanding, and not reacting and trying to change people, but understanding our mind, understanding the others, understanding the world, understanding about the situations in the world, what happens in our daily life. So the focus becomes understanding. And that is really something very, very special. Because at the same time, we are thrown into ourselves. Some independence immediately comes. Because if you know how to analyze, understand, and accommodate yourself and the whole world, you can look into things in a very different way. Because you also, from this tradition, we understand that there is an absolute reality that have to be understood by us. But at the same time, we have to deal with Vyavaharika Sattva. We have to deal with the reality, daily reality. So how to do that? Many times we stay in the absolute reality, and then that's it. I have nothing to do. But through this knowledge and understanding and the Bhagavad Gita, we see that there's two styles of life, and we cannot run away from the world. Our sankalpa cannot be, I shall not have problems. There's nothing to be done. I am a karta, so there's nothing to be done. That way I am Purnam Ananda, and that's it. You have to deal with the world. So at the same time, we have to deal with this daily life in a special way. So all this tradition deals with both the absolute reality and the relative reality, and teaches us how to do that, how to understand what is absolutely real, and at the same time, how to deal with the world so that we can totally be free from the world, living inside the world with the relationship with the whole world. So that is really something very special to teach us to be able to choose our life, to be able to choose from Dharma and live freely, understanding that I am the absolute Brahman. So through this knowledge, we can live our life. You don't have to be far away somewhere to be free from the world, but you can live in the middle of everything, of people, of situations. And our sankalpa should not be that I have no problems, but may I have the mind to deal with whatever problem comes in my life. So this strength is given us by this Vedic Dharma. And in the ashram, together with my Guru Bhai, Swami Brahma Dayananda, we have learned from Swamiji that so much of Shastra and how the Gita, Shri Krishna in the Gita tells us there's two styles of life. When you dedicate yourself completely in renunciation sannyasa, if you're prepared to live only this life of learning and teaching. But there's another way of life, having moksha in view, but dealing with the world, living your daily life, and in the life of karma yoga. So both are valid. And because we need to have this mind, prepared mind, with so many qualifications, karma yoga is always a very good choice because you're secure into that. If you have a prepared mind, it's okay, karma yoga. If you don't have, you will get it. And thinking on this, on the vision of the Gita, I have seen that this Yoga Sutra, even though it looks like for many people and in many ways that it's something completely different from Vedanta, I have seen that this Sri Patanjali, in truth, he is not doing something separate, teaching yoga in a separate way, but he echoes the teachings of Vedanta, of Shruti, of Veda, the Upanishads and the Gita. Because when he begins to teach about yoga, he's taking this way, that whatever we have learned from the Gita, that if you have a prepared mind already, then you just go to study. But if you need some more preparation of the mind, karma yoga is there to help you. And at the same time, this Patanjali shows us that the main point is not the life of yoga. It's not the nirodha of the mind, some kind of control, which I think is not really a control in terms of strength, but it's knowing how to drive your mind. But the main point is having this mind under your drive. Tada drashtahu swarupe avasthanam, this Patanjali says. Then you can take your mind to be there, swarupe, in the nature, in understanding of Brahman. Who am I? So the main point also of this life of yoga, even in the vision of Patanjali, is to prepare the mind for knowledge, for the understanding that Tattvamasi. He talks, but the only thing that he does, even Shri Krishna does that a lot in the Gita. And we can see the Upanishads is more focused on understanding the Paramarthika Sattva. But both Gita and the Yoga Sutras want to deal with something about the mind in this Karma Yoga life. So Patanjali focus on telling us about our mind, because not only we have to understand Brahman, but we have to understand our mind, because we live life with our mind. So we have to understand mind so that we can accommodate ourselves. We can embrace the person that we are. That is very important. when Shri Krishna talks about the meditation in the 6th chapter, the first thing that he does is how we have to be a friend to ourselves. That's the main point. We have to be a friend to ourselves. Then we can befriend people, but we have to be a friend to myself. I have to accept, understand the person that I am, understand all difficulties that may be there, and understanding those difficulties, I can also just let it go and be prepared. So this understanding the mind, the preparation, again, is made of Viveka Vairagya. It's made of understanding the mind. Our mind is made of vrittis and samskaras. So that we can, in such a way, we can do this nirodha, this driving our minds, understanding it, being non-reactive. We can conduct our minds in a life of karma yoga, understanding dharma, and understanding our desires, our values, and understanding how much we react, what makes us react, all that. And we understand the vrittis, but we can understand, and I feel that is what Patanjali wants to tell us, that besides the vrittis, we have so many samskaras which are not known to us. And that is what causes the reaction, our reactions. So it's not to deal with samskaras, change vrittis, change samskara. That's not the point. The point is to understand how the mind works. And how the mind works, and what happens to the mind when we react, when situations happen in our minds that it looks like you're just off. I didn't even know why I reacted that way. So this understanding is very, very important, so that as we deal with our minds ourselves, as we deal with our emotions, as we understand the person that is here, slowly our minds will be more prepared in so many ways to study Vedanta, and not only to study, because even it's not so much prepared, the study will take place of that, will help into that also. But to be able to have that clarity, that nishtha, that clarity on the knowledge of Aham Brahmasmi. So these two, the study of Vedanta, and at the same time, a life of yoga, understanding our mind, our emotions, and being able to accept the person that we are, because we have a history behind. And at the same time, daily, at every moment, being alert, understanding our priorities, what is most important in our lives, and dealing with ourselves for that which we want. That is a very good combination, because it's the study, and at the same time, a type of life which will be helping us into this understanding, to have this understanding. So I feel that there's nothing like this tradition, this tradition, which is the Vedic Dharma, because it can take each one of us in and take us into a way of life that will make a complete difference in each one's life. I have felt when I went to India that at each point of understanding, of being part of this tradition, which is the Vedic tradition, I feel that it's not only a knowledge, an understanding, but it's a way of life. It expresses itself in the culture. It expresses itself in the Ayurveda, in the art, in all ways of life that takes care of the person, showing that this understanding is the most important thing, because each person is so different. When we analyze even like the medicine, we can understand that you cannot have a medicine like in the vision of Ayurveda for everybody. You have to see behind what is the cause there behind, and treat the person individually with depending upon the problem exactly that the person is showing. So this, in every way of life, you have to see the person that is there and deal with our own special characteristics, understand these characteristics, and then choose at that point your life, not losing at any point, losing what is your main sadhya. So this tradition has taught me that mainly, that for everybody, for all the people that come to study, even though people may have ideas different, desires different, what really helped all along these years that I have taught is that the study of Vedanta helps people understand their problem, the main problem and the secondary problem, and how to solve that problem. And it is very interesting that along these 40 years more that I have been teaching, I have had students from different religions coming to study, for many different. I think all the religions have come, and in many ways, some people wanted to study Vedanta, independent of whatever choice or practice of religion. But many people have come and stayed for some time. Through the study of Vedanta, they have understood something more about their own religion, said by themselves, and understood the search, the desire that you have mainly in life to understand who we are. So I feel, I have seen that this Vedic Dharma, this Vedic wisdom is something that blesses people so much in so many different ways. And I really feel that this Viveka Vairagya is a big key to life. Because when you understand, then you choose. you don't have to choose to change anything. When you understand, naturally you change if it's necessary. So this blessing in the form of Vaidika Dharma is there with the knowledge of what is absolute, that is the main point, but also with the understanding that there is a way of life that we can live, which will be a blessing in itself. The teaching of Brahman Vedanta is a blessing in itself, because when you're looking for something to understand realities and you come up with an understanding of Vedanta, it's so astonishing. It's such a blessing. But equally a blessing is when we come to understand that there's a way of life called Karma Yoga that helps us to live at each point and crossroads of our lives. And besides these two, the knowledge of the absolute and the understanding of the relative, understanding of ourselves, to be able to embrace ourselves as persons as we are. Besides that, there is it opens up to us the possibility of living one's life, not wanting to change things, not wanting to change people, but to be able to live at each point, at each moment, being happy with the world as it is. Because besides the understanding of Brahman and the life of Karma Yoga, this Vedic wisdom speaks about God, speaks about Ishvara in a way that is also really incredible, because it's not a God sitting somewhere and controlling the world, but we understand how this the whole world is not different from Ishvara. And in this way, we understand our relationship, basic relationship with this total Ishvara. So the Karma Yoga becomes not only a technique of living life, caring for our minds like a psychology, and choosing how to deal with ourselves in our mind and the daily life in some kind of training. But what really makes this Karma Yoga is the understanding of the individual as part of a cosmic reality, a total that is Ishvara, that is present at every moment and not something to be reached in one way. So the relative, the Paramarthika Satta, the Vyavaharika Satta, the reality of the individual in the understanding of our minds, and at the same time, the understanding in this reality, in this relative reality, the understanding of the total that is Ishvara, and how the individual is part of this. So there is nothing like Vedas. There is nothing like. In the knowledge of realities, giving us this blessing of being able to live life as it is, to deal with the situations as they come to us, and to be able to accommodate the whole world as it is, not having to change how we are, not having to change people how they are. So it's really something that is for everyone, that is a gift given to humanity, and at the same time so well protected in Bharat, in India, because we see a culture that reflects this knowledge, and it's really protected. How many teachers, how many gurukulams, how many special teachers that we had, we still have in this tradition, in a small place, sitting somewhere, and people coming. This Vedanta is available everywhere in India, and it's very good that the Swamis have opened that also to the whole world. And so we can see in the whole world this teaching of Vedanta in so many different languages, blessing the people, giving a knowledge of what is absolute, giving an understanding of the relative world, of the relative person, and giving us tools to live life and find not only significance in our lives, but find an accomplishment, purnatvam, a completeness, a feeling and understanding of being not only part of this world adequately, fully, but understanding our basic reality, what really we are. And with this knowledge, live a life of plenitude, a complete life, each day, at each moment. So I really feel that this teaching, this Vedic wisdom, is a blessing to each one that comes in contact with this wisdom. I am very grateful to my teachers and to our Arsha Vidya friends, teachers, students that keep this knowledge alive and blessing everyone. This events like Vedic Wisdom Festival is something very special, and I wish more and more people will come to listen to Swami and Swamini and all the people that are invited, not only Vedanta, but in the art, in the architecture, and the health wisdom, so that we all come to know the greatness of this knowledge, of this tradition that blesses us wherever we are born and live. But if you get in contact with this knowledge, of course, you will be completely blessed to live life as it is and to welcome the person that you are. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for making me part of this special event. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you, Padma Shri Gloria Arieira ji. So beautifully and eloquently put. And you have shown us how lucky we are to be exposed to this knowledge. And your passion and intensity about this knowledge came through very, very clearly when you spoke to us. we have a couple of questions for you from the audience. So one of them wants to know that you learned from Swami Chinmayananda and Puja Dayananda Saraswati ji, and when you went back to Brazil and decided to teach there this wonderful knowledge of the Vedanta and Upanishads, how you must have had a lot of challenges, right? Because at that time, I don't know how many people in Brazil would have really heard about Vedanta or Upanishad or the Bhagavad Gita. So, I mean, what were the challenges and how did you overcome them? I mean, wouldn't you have been one of the, probably the only person, or maybe one or two people in the whole of Brazil who would probably be, having this knowledge and wanting to discuss? How did you get students to get interested in this?
Well, it was really a challenge because in Brazil, it's a country that doesn't speak English. People don't speak English here. So to begin with, you can't invite people to come and talk. Like Swamiji came a few times, Puja Swamiji came a few times, but I had to translate him. He could not speak directly to the people. So that the language is one challenge. And it's completely different from whatever people heard. So they didn't even know Vedanta. They didn't know what it was Vedanta. So it's true. In the beginning, I had very, very small number of people. But I think what did the most is that Swamiji came a few times to Brazil, to the country. The country is very big, but Swamiji has gone to the north, to the south, to Rio, São Paulo. And so people came to know from him what was Vedanta. And then I started small classes. It went on. 40 years is a long time. So in the beginning, really, not many people wanted to study, neither Vedanta, neither Sanskrit. But now, even I have a few students who are teaching also here. And so many that went to India to study with Swamiji, also having begun to study with me. So it worked out. It worked out.
I'm sure it must not have been easy, but thank you for sticking it out there and starting small, but having created such a vast influence over so many people in your country and in Portugal. There is a question somebody has asked. It says, yoga speaks of experience of samadhi, which is considered the ultimate. Vedanta looks at samadhi as another experience. So how do we reconcile both?
Well, I think basically, we have a problem in the interpretation of Yoga Sutras, if I can say Yoga Sutras, because people, I feel that people did not understand that Patanjali is part of the tradition, and he just wanted to emphasize yoga because there's enough of Vedanta or Atmajnana in Gita and Upanishads. So taking this, samadhi, we can look into samadhi in experience. Of course, it's an experience. But if we look samadhi into this repetition of nidhyasana, then you can see that it's a moment in your meditation that you can see clearly the reality, aham brahmanasmi. So it's not an experience, but it's a clarity. It can be. It depends upon each one, but it can be a clarity and the strength of clarity in one's life. I remember reading in Swami Tapovanji Maharaj book, Wandering in the Himalayas, how just going into the Himalayas, he would have this samadhi. The samadhi, as I understood, unfortunately, I didn't meet him, but I understood as it's so clear that Ishvara was so clear for him. And this understanding is Aham Brahman, that the reality of the whole world is Brahman. Just, that is a samadhi, and that is just going around, that's what he saw. So it's it's a clarity of the reality of Aham Brahmasmi. That's how I see it.
And one last question. There is somebody who's asked, what is your advice to young students who are learning Vedanta, who are now either learning with Swamiji or Swamini, or learning in with other Swamijis? What is your advice to them? Share 2 pieces of advice that will help them make this journey and know the truth faster.
I feel that for myself, I can say what helped myself a lot is to understand that our main goal, our sadhya, is to understand what is Paramarthika Satyam. That is the main. That's what we are going for. But at the same time, we cannot negate, we cannot go away from the understanding of the reality, which is relative. So we have to focus on what is the main, but we have to deal with this person that we are in a very sincere way. Because what really blesses oneself is to embrace Satyam, the reality, what is truth, what is reality, what is sincerity. But when you're a sincere seeker, when you're a sincere mumukshu. So that blesses us. So looking into ourselves and understanding and changing whatever has to be necessary, but mainly being sincere with the person that we are. That really is, I feel, is in the way of life, that is the main point. So the Satyam, what you speak, what you say, being sincere in life and being understanding of our emotions, the person that we are, what we really want, that is very important, I feel, the most important.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Padma Shri Gloria Arieira ji. I will now ask Swamini to say a few words. Swamini ji.
Muito clara, muito feliz, obrigada. So thank you, it's been such a delight. I remembered some words and it's a delight to say that to you. It's always very, very special when we hear teachers from Arsha Vidya speaking, and you are such a gift and such a blessing, definitely to Brazil, but to the entire Portuguese speaking public, and now to also English speaking public who understand the sincerity and the intensity of what you have said. It's possible that some of the yoga teachers were expecting you to spout a lot of sutras, and what is so beautiful about traditional Vedanta teachers is what they say is as important as what they do not say, and your emphasis on the sincerity of the pursuit and the embracing of oneself and the acceptance of oneself all the way was very nice. One other thing that I think a lot of Indians miss out, it's like fish living in the water. You're not quite able to appreciate the water enough. And then when we hear, like teachers like you who also highlight how the culture reflects the depth of the wisdom, then it's a wonderful reminder to all of us to not take anything for granted. So thank you for making those very beautiful points as you wove it into the talk. Again, obrigada, muito feliz. Oh.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swamini. Swamiji.
Gloria ji, is such a pleasure being with you. It took us 40 years to come together again on a program after we left the ashram, because almost 40 years to get to this. Couple of points over and above what Swami has said is, I'm 100% in agreement with the way you are interpreting the Yoga Sutras, for the simple reason that there are 25 plus Yoga Upanishads. How can they be different from what Vedanta is saying? Vedanta means Upanishad. How can it be different? And I fully appreciate the challenges that you had when you went back. I was in Rio and Sao Paulo, I think somewhere in 1975 or so, just before I joined the ashram. Purvashrama role as a sailor, as a marine engineer. I was also connected to the sea and shipping. I know what the setup there was at that time. So the challenges you had, and I think it's a blessing that you are there. I have met one of your students, Jonas, Anatha, and I know what it means for you to be there, to have someone like him growing up there with his background as a typical hot-blooded Brazilian, and then army life. Because those are things I have experienced. I know what it takes. I know what it counts, and for that to make such a huge change from that into what he is right now. So I think a great amount of that credit is to you. I'm sure the other teachers also, you're a blessing for them. They're very, very lucky to have you. And for me to see you again after 40 years as part of a program, it's a great feeling. Takes me back to all those memories we shared in Sandeepani. It was a great time.
Yes.
We are much younger and a fun time, a learning, growing time. It's great. It's great to be there.
Yes.
I will pick up some Portuguese, hopefully, even if I come there next time.
Yes.
And that, thank you once again. Om Tat
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Padma Shri Gloria ji. Thank you very much.